Okay, today we're talking specifically about area of circles. Yesterday we looked at circumference. Today we're talking about area of circles, and then we'll also look at area of a sector. So similar to yesterday, we'll start with the whole circle, then we'll move to just a sector on the circle, right? So just as a reminder, which most of you do remember, area of a circle, we use pi r squared every single time. Yesterday in circumference, we used two different formulas depending on if you had diameter or radius, correct? Yes. For area, you have to have the radius every time. So if it gives you diameter, you have to take half. There's not a different formula for that, okay? We know r represents the radius, right? So I'm not even going to write that in for you. We're just going to kind of jump right into it and get started. So example 1, if I want to find the area of a circle with a radius of 8, how would I do that? Good. Just pi times 8 squared. Now, if I want an exact answer, like we talked about yesterday, what would my exact answer be here? 64 pi. Okay, and what would be a decimal answer or a rounded answer? Let's do the hundredths place.
The hundredths place, you said?
Yeah, just multiply 64 times pi, and we're going to round to the hundredths place.
201. Yeah, 201.6. Yeah,
06. Okay, and how do we label area?
Squared.
Centimeters squared, yeah. Whatever your units are, squared. Okay? All right. Same exact thing on example 2. The only difference is, would I use 9 for my radius?
Nope.
What would I use?
4.5.
4.5. Okay? So, an exact answer, right? Remember, if it gives us diameter, we take half for our radius. Okay? What would be my exact answer here? Well, we have to square 4.5. 20.25 pi, then just go ahead and multiply that by pi to get a rounded answer. Should be 63.62 square inches or inches squared. Okay. Your next ones are similar to what we did yesterday, right? It gives us the area, so it tells us the area is 113.1. So where do I put that in my equation? Yeah, at the front. I replace A with 113.1 and equal to pi radius squared. Okay? Now, we are solving for the diameter, but I have to find the radius first. So what do I do to get r by itself? Yeah, just divide by pi. So in your calculator, 113.1 divided by pi.
36.
Okay, so 36 is equal to r squared. How do I get just r? Square root. What's the square root of 36? So if my radius is 6, we did solve, but that didn't answer the question. What do I have to do to answer my question? Double it. So my diameter would be 12. It's a D. I know you ain't talking about my handwriting, sir.
Hey, my knees don't look like that. I'm writing right now.
Okay, now, example 4, right, gives us what? It wants us to find circumference given area is 200, bless you, and 25 pi. So we're still starting with our area formula. Area equals pi r squared. What am I plugging in for A?
225 pi.
225 pi is equal to pi radius squared. Same steps. How do I get r squared by itself? Now, if pi is already on the other side, what happens to those two things? they just cancel and leave you with is equal to radius squared. So that means my radius would be what? Yeah. Correct on all parts. So my radius is 15, but now it wants me to find the circumference. What do I do to find circumference?
2 pi r.
Yeah. Circumference is equal to 2 times pi times my radius. So that would be 30 pi or 94.2. Okay. So far, are we okay? Listen, I'm trying to move kind of quick through this stuff so we have time to just work on it and ask questions. If I go too fast, just let me know. All right, number 5. It wants us to find area of the shaded region. Any thoughts on how I could do that?
25 minus 17.
You have the right idea, but not just 25 minus 17. What do I have to do first? Find what?
Diameter.
I have to find the area of what?
The big
The big circle. Then find the area of the small circle, and then do what with those two areas? Subtract them, right? So basically, we're just going to find area of the big, subtract area of the small. Now, it is kind of hard to see on here. I'm going to draw this in. The 25 goes all the way across. 17 goes across the small circle. Okay, so it does give us radius of both the big circle and the small, right? So all I have to do to find radius of the big circle, pi times 25 squared. I'm going to write that. And then I'm going to subtract pi times 17 squared. Okay, somebody tell me what's 25 squared.
625.
So I get 625 pi minus what's 17 squared?
289.
289 pi. Now, anytime both terms have pi, it's kind of like a variable. You can subtract them and leave it there. So what's 625 pi minus 289 pi?
336.
336 pi, which is our exact answer. What if it wants a decimal answer?
2 times that by 5.
Just do 336 times pi. Anytime, or just, you can, listen, you can type 336 pi and hit equals. It's the same thing, okay?
1055.
Okay, yeah. 0.6, 0.57. It didn't tell you which way to round, so if it doesn't tell you, I will take usually the tens place. If it doesn't say, I'm not going to be picky if it doesn't tell you exactly. Okay? All right? Okay, thoughts on example 6. It wants you to find the area of the whole entire thing.
Well, you have the diameter.
I agree. What's the diameter?
4.
Which means the radius would be,
2.
so I would go ahead and maybe put that part in. My radius is 2. Okay, what type of figure is that on top? Okay, how could I find area of a semicircle?
Half.
Yeah, find the area of a circle and divide by 2. And then I'm going to add what to that?
The area of the square.
Is that a square?
Rectangle.
Area of the rectangle. How do you find area of a rectangle?
Uh,
Just length times width. Okay? So now we're just going to plug in the things we know, right? What's my radius? So I have pi times 2 squared divided by 2 plus
3 times.
3 times 4. Now, let's just talk about this for a second before we do it. What's 2 squared?
4.
4. What's 4 divided by 2? 2. So can we say that this is 2 pi?
Yeah.
Yes. Plus what? 12. Now, earlier on this problem, I was able to subtract these because they both had what? Pi. Can I add these two together and get 14 pi? No, because 12 does not have pi, right? So this would be my exact answer. how would I find my rounded answer?
3 times
I would take 2 pi, hit equals,
6 point
plus 12 to it.
plus 12. Just plus 12?
Yep.
18.3.
18.3 square inches. Okay, do we mostly remember this stuff from doing it before? Because really all of this stuff we've seen at some point. It probably was back in 8th grade, but we have seen it before. Okay, all right, let's talk about area of sectors. Similar to yesterday, a sector of a circle is just a region of the circle bound by 2 radii and their intercepted arc, which again, for you guys, we know it's this part out here, okay? Now, it's almost exactly like yesterday, right? We take the measure of that arc, divide it by 360, but instead of multiplying by the circumference formula, we multiply by what formula? Area, okay? So otherwise, it's exactly the same. Similar to yesterday, the area of a sector is just a fraction of the whole entire area, right? Okay, so let's try example 1. We're going to find the area of the sector formed by angle UTV. What is the measure of that angle? 70 degrees. So I'm going to take 70 and put it over what? 360. And then I'm multiplying by the area of that circle, which is pi times what radius? 8 squared. Now, remember how yesterday I told you to basically just you can put this over 1 if you want, but we may basically just multiply everything on the top. So, in your calculator, type 8 squared, which we know is 64. What's 64 times 70? 4,480 pi over 360. Okay? Now, can we simplify that fraction to get an exact answer? Yes, your fraction button will help you. It might write it as a mixed number, so after you use that, you have to go back and hit second fraction.
112 over 9.
112 over 9.
Mine did not work.
What did you get?
Nothing.
So hit 4,480, fraction button, 360, and you probably get a mixed number, right?
Yeah, 12 and 4, 9.
So then you have to hit second fraction to change it back to improper.
Yeah, 112 over 9.
Okay? So our exact answer, right, is 112 pi over 9. How do I change that to a decimal answer? 112 pi, hit equals, divide by 9.
39.1.
Bless you. Okay. All right. Example 2 is similar. The difference is, what do they ask you for example 2 to find? The larger sector. Well, if the smaller sector is 120 degrees, how many degrees does that leave me over here?
240.
240. Good. Okay. I'm going to work this problem the exact same way we just did. We take 240 over the total, which is 360, times what?
14. Pi times 14.
Pi times 14 squared. Okay. Again, we're going to let our calculator help us. Square 14, and then multiply that by 240. It's a big number.
47040.
Still with pi over 360. We're going to simplify that fraction first to get an exact answer.
47040.
We should get 392 pi over 3. Okay? Then we're going to convert that to a decimal. So 392 pi equals, divide that by 3. We should get an area 410.5 square feet. Okay. All right. Last one. And I'm going to be done. Given the measure of a sector is 40 degrees, so it gives us the degree measure, but then it tells us what? The area, our final answer. Okay? So 40 over 360, we start the same way, times what formula? Pi r squared, right? Are we using the area formula every time? And what am I setting that equal to? 28.27. And what is it asking us to find on the example 3? Find the radius. So notice I want to get rid of everything on this side except for what? R squared. Okay? Is it true that this pi could be written right here with 40? Yes, because remember we just multiplied everything across the top. So when I get rid of that, I'm going to multiply by my reciprocal. So I'm going to take that pi, I'm going to write it like it's here, okay, because it's the same thing. So how can I get rid of 40 pi over 360?
360 over 40 pi.
Yep, times 360 over 40 pi. Times this side by 360 over 40 pi. So here's what I would do. In your calculator, I would type 28.27 times 360, hit equals.
10,170.
Listen, you got to be careful how you type this. So you're going to do 28.27 times 360, then you're going to hit divide, and in parentheses, you're putting 40 pi.
Put the pi inside of it.
80.9.
80.9. I agree with that. Okay, now let's round that to a whole number.
81.
81, right? Can I easily take the square root of 81?
9.
Yes. So my radius here is going to be 9.
Wait, how did you find 81? 28.7 times 360, and then divided by, and then in parentheses, 40 pi.
Yes. Because remember, you guys, like when I have this 28, you could put it, you could put it over 1. So we multiply the top numbers, then divide by the bottom. We okay with that? Okay. All right. Today we're on page 585.
You too? I got you. How you got me?